Phosphor Dot fans, Earl at thelogbook.com, back on the Atari 2600, back in 1983, and we couldn't dodge this bullet forever. We had to play this sooner or later. This is Chase the Chuck Wagon. Now, it used to be, in the early days of retro video game collecting, I'm going to say the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, Chase the Chuck Wagon was considered one of the rarest games that you could get for the Atari 2600. Now, we have since learned there were far scarcer titles for this platform that actually did get released, but Chase the Chuck Wagon kind of encompasses the whole reason that I gave up collecting video games so I could just spend my time playing them instead and not stress about collecting. Because collecting gets kind of silly, to be real honest with you. So does this game. Let's give it a shot. I say let's give it a shot. It may not want to be played. It is the game that cannot be played. You are the dog. Avoid everything. Avoid the human-looking figure, because that is the dog catcher. And even though that floating thing is a bone, and dogs like bones, avoid colliding with it because it will freeze you in your tracks and slow you down. There's a timer running at the bottom of the screen. That is the amount of time you have to reach the Chuck Wagon. There you go. That wagging tail. That right there. That is your reward for playing this game. Perhaps your only reward. Okay, now we have a floating cat head. This dog has some neuroses, man. Just putting that out there. Oh, the timer starts fresh. The humanoid figure that you see kind of wandering about the maze, that's the dog catcher. If the dog catcher catches you, you lose a life. And since you were a dog and not a cat, you don't have that many lives to lose. So avoid the thing that will freeze you in your tracks and allow the dog catcher to catch up with you, if at all possible. Sometimes the floating object is another dog. Oh, did I... Oh, sorry, doggy. And that screen is part of the game. You want to avoid stopping the dog food bowl too high or too low for your doggy to get a snack. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Each collision with the floating object freezes you for a number of seconds, giving you that much less time to reach the Chuck Wagon. Good dog. And as you can see, the Am I the only person seeing the initials NR built into the maze. I wonder if that's the designer of the game. I may actually have to call up, oh no. Oh, sorry, doggy. May actually have to, look this up on AtariAge.com or something. And see if those were the designer's initials. This game was not available in a general retail setting. You could only get it by sending in proofs of purchase cut off the bags of Ralston Purina's Chuck Wagon dog food. And that was the whole selling point. That was the reason for the rarity. That was the whole selling point of the game. This was the only way you could get that. I'm going to run out of time. Because that thing keeps going right over me. My dog exploded. Good grief. Harsh. Allow me to pass, floating cat head of doom. I'm just saying, this dog seems kind of neurotic. Maybe needs to spend some time on the couch. It never rains but it pours. Poor dog. Get to the chopper! Not the greatest game that anyone has ever experienced. But this kind of goes to my point about kind of the pitfalls of making collecting your gaming goal rather than playing. How many people spent, small fortunes obtaining secondhand copies of Chase the Chuck Wagon and found that it was this. Sorry, Pooch. It's just not a great game. The graphics are not good. The sound is not good. It really is a case of it's what's. Which, of course, a colleague of mine in the field of IT once used the phrase, "it is what it is." And I suggested saying, "it's what's." He didn't say it is what it is. He would say, "it is what is." Which sounds about 5% more mystic, but it chews up a lot of time to say it. Which is why I suggested saying, "it's what's." If the dog catcher doesn't get me, the timer will. You have no chance to survive. Make your time. Boom. Exploding dog. Oh no. And that's the end of the game. That's all there is to it. It's the same 3 or 4 mazes. Roughly the same difficulty level. There's not much there with Chase the Chuck Wagon. There are very, very few games that kind of buck that inverse ratio between the rarity of the physical cartridge and how much fun it actually is to play. the games that buck that trend are very few and far between, because you think about this, or you think about Air Raid on the 2600. Only once in a blue moon do you get something that is both rare and fun, like, say, Power Lords on the Odyssey 2. That's a game that bucks the trend. The game is insanely fun, and it is very hard to come by. A lot of games that are hard to come by, maybe the game wasn't widely adopted for a reason. And, you know, the great thing about emulation is it gives you a chance to find that out before you empty your bank account.